I'm Robert Zavala, and I wanted to answer some common questions that I receive semester after semester. And in this video, we're going to look at domain, range, when a point is included and when a point is not included. And just as a reminder, when we have less than or equal to, the point is not included. We'll use parentheses when a point is not included, or on the graph, we'll use an open circle. If we have less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, that means the point is included, and we'll use brackets or a closed circle on the graph. Let me share some questions with you that I get, and I'll try to elaborate further. One of the questions that I received is, will the square root of x always have a bracket instead of parentheses on the side of the value? Well, I'm going to graph this for you so that you can see that we have a graph that looks something like this. And if you don't remember, the domain, in this case, possible x values are from 0 to infinity. And I think the question is asking, do I always have a bracket right here? And I want to go into this a little bit deeper than just saying yes. The reason why we have a bracket here is because our radicand has to be positive. Recall, if I have a negative value under the square root, this will give me an imaginary number. So in order to find the domain, what I could do is set the denominator to be greater than or equal to 0, which simply means positive. This is a different way of saying the radicand has to be positive. Now, how does that help me? Well, if I were to graph this on the number line, here's my number line, here is 0. This is telling me x is greater than or equal to 0. So I have a bracket, and I'm going to the right, which is greater than. And in interval notation, we see we will have from 0 to infinity. And yes, the 0 is included because I can still put 0 in to x. The square root of 0 is still 0. That's fine. But I cannot go to the left of 0. I cannot put a negative value in for x. So in our case, when we're referring to the square root, the domain will have a bracket on the value that's included. And just as a FYI, the infinity sign for our purposes will always have a parenthesis. The cube root of x function is negative infinity to positive infinity. So does that mean that we would use the all real numbers? This person put rational, but I think he or she means all real numbers, symbol for the domain and range. I'm going to graph this just to dig a little bit deeper and not to provide a simple yes or no question. Okay, so the graph looks something like this. This is really rough, but something like this. And if I were to exaggerate the graph, I would know that the graph would actually continue to go up and go down. So my domain would be from negative infinity to positive infinity, where positive infinity would be to the right, negative infinity would be all the way to the left. Our range would be the same, negative infinity to positive infinity. Since there are no restrictions on these values in the software, we could enter all real numbers. And this is the symbol for all real numbers. Will the range of the absolute value of x function always have a bracket as well? The answer is yes, but let's go a little bit deeper. The absolute value looks like a V, and it touches this point here. The range are the possible y values. So if I look at my graph here, what's the least possible y value? We see that y does equal 0. It goes from 0 all the way up to infinity. So my range for this case would be 0 to infinity. Let's switch it up a little bit and let's do y equals the absolute value of x plus 2. Now we know that's going to shift my graph up 2 units. This would be 2. Now when I look at the range for this graph, my range would be from 2, notice 2's in a bracket because the graph actually does touch 2. It goes from 2 to infinity. Hopefully you picked up a few things as you watched this video. And if you have any questions, you're encouraged to reach out to me. Thank you.